Hello, my name is Dr. Ivo Ferreira. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm part of Ophthalmo University and Phaco Mentors, and today we're going to start with some of my favorite things that you need to train. That is the checklist, okay? So we're going to start with the checklist of the surgeon in the simulator. You need to think of yourself as an airplane pilot with all the checklist in position and ready to go. The first thing, we're going to talk about ergonomics. And in order for you to remember the correct ergonomics, we're going to show you one of our favorite people here with us, the gorilla. Why? Because you're going to see many people doing surgery like this. And we want you to be exactly like this, with the correct position, power position, and also taking care of your cervicals and lumbars. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do, first, you're gonna see the height of your chair, cervical chair. So you have 90 degrees in your knees while putting your feet in the foot pedal. Okay, you're gonna sit down, okay, and you're gonna exaggerate, shoulders back and relaxed. You're gonna get a 90 degrees here in your elbows, okay? This is the position. It's very important to have the correct ergonomics. When you have this, in this case, I'm gonna do it barefoot. You're gonna come close to the simulator, close, and then you're gonna prepare the simulator for you, okay? You're gonna, here you have a button to go up or down with the level of the table, yeah, for your patient. In this case, I'm gonna go slightly up to be more comfortable, okay? Extremely important again to control your ergonomics as much as possible so you have the correct hand positioning and you're seeing in 3D. 2, visualization. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna check that the simulator is in zeros, okay? Very important that your microscope is in zeros, and you're gonna check your interpupillary distance to see in 3D. For visualization, it's very important that you do parafocalization. Sometimes in the simulator, this is not easy. You're gonna have a microscope. And the microscope is extremely important for you to dominate where focus minus and focal plus is and zoom in and zoom out. It's very important that you control the foot pedal. We're gonna talk a lot about the foot pedal, okay? But the foot pedal is going to have 4 functions. This is the way that the foot is going to come, and focus, focus, zoom, zoom. And of course you need to be able to manage the X and Y in order to center the eye, okay? Very important again. And then with visualization, to have the correct focus and also to have the correct depth of focus, meaning that you are focused in the structure you're working with, but also you have the depth of focus to see in 3D with stereopsis. Very important that you take your time for the correct visualization, okay? Then we're gonna come to the instruments you're going to use. In this case, in this screen also, you're gonna see that we're gonna have many different ways on how to grab instruments. Remember that with this simulator, okay, you're gonna use mostly to do Phaco these 2 instruments. This is gonna be Phaco, which is rectilinear, and then with an angle, you're gonna have a second instrument, but you're also gonna have dissection cannula, and you're gonna have viscoelastics, and then you're gonna have many other irrigation aspiration and second instruments, meaning that you're gonna have choppers, vertical chopper, horizontal chop. It's important for you to understand all the instruments. And here we're gonna have the Phaco instrument, spatula, but also we're gonna have irrigator, coaxial irrigation aspiration with different angles, okay? Very important that you know your instruments. Again, the machine is gonna allow you to simulate many things. Then we're gonna go to the equipment you have. In this case, when you see open OR machine, we're gonna have something fantastic here. We're gonna have, the first thing is the choice to have a venturi pump or a peristaltic pump. Very important here to understand the difference between one pump and the other, okay? In a venturi pump, we don't have aspiration flow. Why? Because the way that the pump works means that you're gonna regulate only vacuum, and you're gonna generate vacuum without occlusion. So that's a pump that's gonna be more efficient, but in the same way more dangerous when you're performing high vacuum, because you can have imbalance in the interior chamber, surge, and you can grab the posterior capsule or other structures and damage them. Okay, remember, venturi pump, peristaltic pump, you're gonna have flow, you're gonna control more what's going on, and it's important also too that we're gonna have sculpting, quadrant removal 1 and 2, irrigation aspiration, and anterior vitrectomy. It's very important that you understand the phacodynamics, okay? And I'm gonna go fast because this could be very long, but to understand the phacodynamics, you need to understand that in sculpting, we're gonna use continuous ultrasound, and depending on the cataract, you're gonna make the decision of which power are you going to use. In this simulator, the power is gonna be in a soft cataract around 40, 45 to 50. In a medium density cataract, you're gonna go to 50, 55 or 60. And in a dense cataract, you're gonna go to 60, 65, 70, or sometimes even a little bit more in order to sculpt correctly. When we go to quadrant removal 1, I will recommend you to have a high bottle, a high vacuum, okay, of 450, flow of 54, and then again, we're gonna control the power depending on the density of the cataract, but the key here is you always want the less amount of power possible. You can use burst mode, pulse mode, or continuous mode. I prefer the burst mode because you can save as much as ultrasound first, and then you can control with the foot pedal the type of ultrasound you're doing. You start with pulses that will go, those pulses will go, with the timing coming less and time until you get to continuous and the power is going to increase. Okay, quadrant removal 2, it's something I think you can also take care with less aggressive settings, especially for the last fragment or epinucleus. So we can decrease the vacuum, we can still have a high bottle, we can decrease the flow and decrease the power of ultrasound. So here, you're gonna have more control. Irrigation aspiration, you want high vacuum and high flow, okay? In order to remove the cortex. Then anterior vitrectomy, completely different, but you're gonna do it in the simulator. Remember, you wanna everything low except high cut. So low bottle, low vacuum, low flow, and high cut rate. That's the key to do anterior vitrectomy. Okay, so I think we already have the settings, we already have the instruments, we were talking about the foot pedal. Okay, so we already said that the foot pedal in the microscope, you can have 4 functions: focus, focus, zoom, zoom, and then you're gonna have the X and Y in order to center the eye. With the Phaco foot pedal, remember you're gonna have position 1, 2, and 3. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Remember irrigation, irrigation aspiration, irrigation aspiration ultrasound. Okay, when you're doing anterior vitrectomy, you can have irrigation, aspiration, and then cut. Or sometimes you can, control it different to the side. But the key here is when you go to the machine, you have a foot pedal configuration. And I really want you to take some time in order to set this up. What I really like is in here in position 1 and in position 3 to have the preset plus and minus. It's very important to have the preset here. I don't like to have the preset when you go to the sides because sometimes you're nervous and you can do it without wanting that. So I strongly recommend to put preset plus and minus here in 1 and 3. And remember that you can have reflux like this, okay, even in your feet. That's important for you to have. Okay, so the 2 foot pedals are done. Then Consumables. In the simulator, you're gonna have many consumables like Trip and Blue, you're gonna have viscoelastics, and then you're gonna have other things like the IOL injector. They're very important things that you're gonna need to manage, but then you're gonna pick them in the screen and it's gonna be perfect. And we were talking about the ergonomics, we were talking about everything ready, and now we're gonna go to one of my favorite parts in which we have the other animal that is extremely important in our campus, that it's a crab. And the crab claw is gonna be extremely important, like while doing Phaco with us. So you're gonna have 3 different ways to grab instruments, okay? The first thing is how you're gonna create the correct hand position. And you're gonna generate this correct hand positioning by first having a fixation point and how to grab the instrument. You're gonna separate that in 2, okay? So fixation point, forehead of the patient, and watch this. This is gonna be the 3 fingernails in a rectilinear way in the forehead of the patient. Same thing for the non-dominant hand, okay? Again, fixation point. All my stress and all my tension is going to the forehead of the patient. You're doing temporal approach, doesn't matter, same thing. You have a fixation point in the left, in the side of the head, okay? Fixation point and how to grab the instruments. You are only more verticalized, okay? So let's go back. Fixation point in the forehead of the patient, and then I'm gonna grab, okay, here, I'm gonna grab one of my instruments that is gonna be the Phaco tip. The Phaco handpiece is gonna be like this. It's very important that you understand this. It's gonna be more horizontal or horizontal as possible if you do the incision at 130. And when you wanna move that handpiece, we're gonna talk about 2 things. Floating, meaning that you don't press down or up, and pivoting. Look at the way I'm pivoting while I use the Phaco instruments. Let's see if you can see it here in the main incision, okay? This is fantastic. Look, this is how I pivot with the handpiece, okay? I do movement outside the eye and I can reach any single space. I can go up, I can go down, and I can go to the left and to the right, okay? This is extremely important. And you always want to center. You don't want to do this. You don't want to also, look what happened when you're not floating too. You're getting a stria in the cornea. What happens if you go to the left? What happens if you go to the right and you pull the eye and you're avoiding operating with a tilt eye? You're tilting the eye, and that's extremely dangerous for the eye, okay? That's what you do with the handpiece. If you have another instrument, okay, like a second instrument, a cannula or something, you need to grab it vertically. You still have the fixation point, but now the crab appears like this, 2 fingers at 90 and 180 degrees to have this movement, which is extremely important in what? In microsurgery. And look at this. This is gonna be easy. I'm only pivoting, I'm not moving my hand. I'm just pivoting with these 2 fingers rotating in their own axis, okay? Here and here. I go in, out, pivot, and pivot. In, out, pivot, and pivot, okay? So if you're able to do this, okay, you're gonna have a fantastic checklist of what you do. Let's go again. We're gonna talk about ergonomics, visualization, instruments you need, the equipment, Phaco machine you need, foot pedals, consumables, biomechanics of your hands, and in this case, you're gonna have the right eye of your patient. Your patient is gonna cooperate a lot, but it's gonna be important at all times that you have a centered eye, okay? Thank you very much, and I hope you use this checklist with a lot of discipline, so this becomes habit, that habits becomes consistency, and that's when it is gonna take you to excellence. Thank you.